I'm Wu Wei.
I'm Wu Ji.
Today, we come here to review what we have discovered through the last 20 years study, research, and personal experiences with regard to soul perception. What we have discovered are these 33 findings.
Right. And the first one is a subject can recognize and respond to the space transmitting information through his subconscious awareness.
So the key point here is talking about there is a space transmitting information through a person's subconscious awareness. That person, can recognize and respond to such kinds of space transmitting information.
Right. And number two, this ability is verified by many daily evidence and must have huge implications.
Such ability, the ability of that person has been verified, means has been confirmed and witnessed through all the daily evidence, the daily activity, the daily action, and the daily encountering, which all prove as the evidence of the ability of that person's ability to recognize and respond to the information transmitting in the space. And also, because of that, because of this verification or the confirmation of a person's ability, that could reveal a very big implication about many miraculous things in the field.
And number three, a subject's attention of interest could interlock with the targeted distant object and recognize the information that is sent back from that object.
The number three discovery is talking about that person's attention of interest. When you have the interest, you have the attention. Such kinds of attention of interest could interlock, means associate, connected with the targeted distant object, the object in the distance, the object in the distance which is being targeted by your attention of interest. And with such process, that person can recognize the information that is sent back from the object. The object, it is in the distance. But with the interlocked attention of interest, the information will be sent back from that distant object.
And number four, these two findings seem to have significant implications in many aspects. For instance, the phenomena of the secret, the will it to come true, and the God answers believers' prayers are all applying to the same principle that the subject's attention of interest interlocks with a distant data center of all opportunities by communicating with the space transmitting information through the subject's subconscious.
So this point is talking about, again, through a person, a subject's subconsciousness, or the subject's subconscious, the space transmitting information could add on a person. There's two findings before that. What are those two findings? The first one is that a subject with the attention of interest, he can recognize and respond to the space transmitting information. And the second one would be that with such kinds of attention of interest, when they interlocked their attention to the distant objects, the information will be sent back from the distant object to the subject through his subconsciousness.
Right, and that was number 4, about the 2 findings.
And also, it emphasized one thing, that because in the past there was a very famous book called Secret, or the movie has the same name too. It talked about how people could will, what's that called?
Will it to come true?
Will it to come true, will it to see it, will it to get it, right? When you have your will to expect it, want it, and it will come true, like a prayers being answered by God. And actually, that's all talking about the information to be communicated between the subject and the object.
And number 5, there are 2 types of hallucinatory visions. The so-called hallucination that is without the external stimuli, and the unknown reality that is with the external stimuli.
So this point is talking about my discovery about 2 types of hallucination. In the past, people think that hallucination is something that does not exist. It's subjective. It's not objective. But in fact, through my experiment and my experience, and I found out there are 2 different types of hallucination. One type is the hallucination that without the external stimuli. Another one is with the external stimuli, means something had stimulated. So the hallucination was based on, number 1, without the external stimuli, number 2, with the external stimuli, or with the combination of both of the external stimuli or internal stimuli.
And number 6, this finding leads to a new understanding to the causes and the structures of the hallucinations and the visions, and could further provide a revolutionary view of the phenomenon that concerns many other aspects.
Yeah. The finding of the 2 types of hallucinations would lead to a new understanding to the causes. What's the causes, or what's the structure of the hallucinations and the vision? Because hallucinations is something that in a psychology book talk about that something people see, but it is not there, right? But the vision is basically, a lot of the people talk about something related to religion, right? Basically, it's quite similar things. Could further provide a revolutionary view to the phenomenon that concerns many other aspects, because there are many aspects with regard to the ESP, the extrasensory perception, right? And if you can understand what's the causes and the structure of the hallucination, then you would understand a lot of things surrounding the ESP.
And number 7, the eye ray emanating out from the subject's eyes opens up a visual screen of the vision, and it could be the biological base of all mystical visions.
Because when the people talk about ESP, talk about vision, talk about hallucination, or talk about near-death experience or out-of-body experience, most of the time it is related to vision, right? And they talk about there's a screen will open up as a vision channel that through which you will see the hallucination or the vision. Actually, my discovery is that there's eye ray emanating, means shoot out from the eye socket, from the subject's eyes, means subject that from that person's eyes. Open up the visual screen of a vision, just like open up. Sometimes people say the TV screen, right? To open that vision, because of the eye ray shooting out from the eyes. Okay, and it could be two things. It could be the biological base. It could be the biological base of all mystical vision, right? Because when you see the vision, there could be psychological cause of that, and there could be biological cause of that. There could be external stimuli that stimulate and cause it, or that also could be depend on something that's not there, but with your mind's thinking.
And number 8, the eye ray emanating out from the subject's eyes to open up a vision screen is the manifestation of the commencement of the subject's inverting or reversal visual path. Instead of taking in photons, it projects out photons.
Yeah. Here is talk about the eye ray emanating out from a person's eyes to open up that vision screen is a manifestation, is a review, is a revelation, is a confirmation of the commencement, the starting, the opening of the subject, that person's what process. The confirmation of that person's visual eyes path, the reversal and inverting process of the normal visual path. Because normal visual path that the human being would take in the photons that cause someone to see things. But now the eye ray emanating out from that person's eyes means the photon is going out, shooting out from the eye socket. That process invert or reverse the visual path that cause the visual screen.
So that was number 8. And now we're going to number 9. Okay. In the mystical visions, the think can see phenomenon of a subject exhibits the process of the imaginary information to be retrieved and to be projected out.
In such kinds of mystical vision or hallucinatory visions, the think and see phenomenon, there is a phenomenon that reveal a process that think can see. When you think, you can see the object. When you think that object, you can see that object. Why it's so miraculous? Why so mystical? It's because that phenomenon actually exhibits the process that the imagery information to be retrieved and to be projected out. Means in the space there's a transmitting information that flying around all the time. But when you think something, you interlock your mind to that object or to the data center of that object. That information of the object has been sent back to you, and with such kinds of information, once you retrieve it, you can also, translate it into an imagery picture and shooting it out through your eye ray.
Like shooting out a movie.
Yeah, the imagery movie.
And number 10, the finding of this think and see phenomenon could provide a significant solution to the myth of all mysterious visions.
So as what I just said, that there are many types of mysterious visions. The hallucination or the vision with regards to religion or with regards to taking drugs, with regard to prayers or dancing or anything. Although they have all various reason or cause or situation, but all those mysteries, vision can associate to think can see phenomena. Because once you have a finding of the cause of this phenomenon, that is called think and see, you provide a solution to understand why there's a myth of all those especially mysterious visions.
Okay. And number 11, contrary to the common understanding, the hallucination is not the hallucination. The experiences of the hallucinatory visions are all being triggered by either the internal or the external photon stimuli, or by the combination of both of the stimuli.
And this understanding of this discovery is very important because it's confirmed or it is revealing that the hallucination is not the hallucination. It means the so-called hallucination, the vision, is not based on nothing. It's not coming out from nothing. There is something there. What's those something? The something is that those hallucinatory visions are all being triggered, all being started, all being made by what? By either the internal or the external photon stimuli. Means all those hallucinations, whether it is based on nothing that totally from your imagination, or based on something that is beyond your imagination, regardless what, most likely they're not the simple hallucination that come from nothing, because there's the stimuli. When there is a stimuli, there is something. It's a physical, right? The physical things there is the internal and or the external photons stimuli. Means there is photons from outside or inside act as a stimuli to agitate the function or the process of seeing the hallucination.
Right. Yep, I remember the first time you told me about this finding, I was very shocked too.
Okay,
Because,
because it's a very, very interesting, very surprising and a very unusual and incredible. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so the next time if I say I'm seeing something, maybe there is something there.
Yeah, that's a good explanation about what I'm seeing wrong things.
Okay. Okay, number 12, there are consciousness streams, the out-of-body mysterious particle waves that are being influenced and affected by the human consciousness attention.
This point is important. It's the first time to talk about consciousness stream. Means there is something, there is a stream, there is like a ocean-like watery function that is out of the body. That is related to the consciousness. So that's what I call consciousness stream. Okay. In the out-of-body experience, there is a mysterious particle waves that are being influenced and affected by the human consciousness attention. Means when the human try to focus on something, their attention will affect something. They affect the particle and wave that's outside your body, but that particle wave that has been affected or influenced by our thinking could cause the effect of the feeling of the out-of-body experience. Means the perception that you can fly, the perception that your soul came out your body to fly. But whether that's true or not, we are going to explain.
And number 13, the consciousness stream will not be directly affected by the physical environment, such as the physical confinement or the physical force like the wind and any other physical movement. But that may be affected by the changing states of the environmental electromagnetic energy.
This is the 13th point. This point talk about the consciousness stream, means that type of wave that could be affected by your mental power, by your thinking. That type of conscious streams would be directly affected by the physical environment, would not be, make sure this word, not be directly affected by the physical environment. What's the physical environment? Like anything in this physical world, this outside of our body, that like dust, like wind, like the touch by other people, those things is the physical environment. But when you are talking about that consciousness stream, that type of wave-like reality that could be affected by your mind, that's something very interestingly not be affected by the physical things. That is like dust, wind, or any physical object or subject. So, but though it is not affected by the physical things, but it could be, or it always be affected by what, right? By the environmental electromagnetic energy. Whether or not that electromagnetic energy came out from your body when you exercise your physical movement, or it is in the environment that surrounds your body already, it doesn't matter. But okay, it could have established a direct contact or direct effect movement between the consciousness streams and the electromagnetic field.
So the consciousness stream is like it exists in another dimension. It seems right. Okay. And number 14, contrary to the common understanding, the out-of-body experience is not the experience of the out-of-body. The experience is the sense of a sentient entity that flies at one spot against the movements of the out-of-body particle waves.
Yeah, we could remember that a moment ago we talked about that the hallucination is not hallucination. Now we talk about that out-of-body experience is not out-of-body. Why? That though it is a common understanding that there is an experience of out-of-body means your soul fly out your body, but our finding is contrary to such kinds of understanding, because the experience is exactly just the sense of a sentient entity. Means the entity, something can sense something. It's a sense of that is the sense, is the perception of that entity, that things that could perceive something. But that thing is not something from your five senses. Okay? Okay. So the experience has been caused to feel like you are flying, but actually you are not flying at all. You are just flies at one spot. You are stationed in one spot that you feel like you are flying because of what? Because of the movements of the outer body particle waves, because there is one type of consciousness streams moving around. The consciousness stream is affected by your mental works. Because when you think, when you move, when you actively thinking or using your mental power, you affect the electromagnetic field around your body, and in that electromagnetic field, the conscious streams, right, would be affected or formed with the movement of the electromagnetic force or the action of your mental work that cause the particle waves movement, that the feeling, the perception or the sensing of such kinds of particle wave movement is moving around you, moving around the so-called soul body, that cause you to have a feeling of flying. You are not flying, but your environment in that special dimension is moving around with the wave-like things that to cause you to feel that you are flying.
Okay. And number 15, the truth of the common near-death experiences and the out-of-body experiences is that when the subject is in the subconscious mode, the sentient entity experiences the self-created visions and the flies in the man-made consciousness stream.
Right. This one is, again, talk about out-of-body experience, talk about flying, right? The truth means the reality, not just, what the common people think about or they are hearing the rumor or alleging about something. It's the truth, a truth of the common near-death experience and the out-of-body experience. Because there are two types of experience are so miraculous, so sacred, or so mysterious that through so many years, 100 years, decades and decades, no one can really tell the truthful cause of it. Right now, the truth is being revealed by us. That the experience of the near-death experience and the out-of-body experience is in fact what happened. It's when the subject is in the subconscious mode, when the subject means when that person go beyond the five sense confinement, the five sense restriction, then the sixth sense will come out. When the sixth sense come out, such kinds of experience, okay, that the sentient entity means the things, the object or the soul that could experience the self-created vision and the flies in the man-made consciousness stream. Means you're not flying anywhere. The near-death experience, when you see the vision, is the vision that created by yourself, but with some stimuli. That's scientific, because it is not nothing. There is something. When you think about something, when you think about God, the data of God has been sent back to your mind. And through that process, with this stimuli of God's-like data that cause your vision to be invert or reverse from the original path to the inverting and reversal path, that the eyesight is not continuously taking photons into your eyes, but instead, on the contrary, it shoot out or emanate the photon from your eyesight that reverse or invert your normal vision path. that cause you see the vision. And the vision itself is not the hallucination. It's not the simple hallucinatory vision, because it has the stimuli. It has something there. It has the data. Okay? This part is important. It's just like when you see things, you believe that, well, it's true because it's there. But actually, you're not seeing a piano. You are seeing the photon bounce out or bounce back or reflected from the, the surface of the piano, right? So you're seeing photon, right? So you believe that when you see a photon, that something in the distance will be there, right? The same things. When you see the vision, you're seeing the photon from the inside functional process. So there is a photon, there is a stimuli there, but the process is reversing. The process is inverting. So when you see something, the photon coming onto your eye socket and hit the structure inside, you believe, oh, there is a material there, there is an object there, right? And the same situation is that when you see the vision, you think there is nothing there because you don't think that there is a photon inside, your eye socket that could be emanating out. But that's something that I proved, that there is an eye ray under the so-called subconscious mode, means when the sixth sense come out to go beyond the confinement of the five sense, you would have such kinds of reversal process that the photon from inside could stimulate your structure so that you could see the movie, which is stimulated through the data that you have interlocked with the distant object. Although that process is a little bit complicated because it's related to biology, related to psychology, related to quantum physics, but that's something through the experience, many personal experience, and the enlightenment of trying to see the truth or the ultimate truth that have computed out the theory based on the process like that. Yeah.
So that would be very interesting if you could, in the future, talk to more people who have the near-death experience and see what they think about that.
Yeah. Because the important thing is that my habit is, or my character is that don't believe anything. Will not believe anything that could not be confirmed or could not be proved by experiment. The feeling itself may be only partially true, and maybe there is a reason behind it. So when you have that mentality, you could see through the obstacle on the surface and go into the detail, go into the essence of that thing, then to discover the truth of it. Because our life is precious and it's short too. So what's important is not to worship whatever other people's belief. And as a matter of fact, it's to discover the ultimate truth that other people cannot discover.
Yeah. Okay. Have a scientific spirit.
Yeah, yeah. And also all discoveries need to be able to go through the test of the scientific experiment. Right? Otherwise, it's just the imagination or the assumption or hypothesis.
Right. And number 16, the sense of the extending mind, or the autoscopic views of the self to the self. In the special types of the out-of-body experiences are not from the senses of an out-of-body soul, Rather, they are the soul entity senses that are generated by the information that is sent back from a distant, conscious, interlocked location, or similar method as the clairvoyance.
Yeah, this point is talk about the clairvoyance, means the remote viewing things. How can the people claim or people think or like someone like me had experience that seeing things or from the distance, okay? This, we talk about a sense. There's one special sense that is like our soul have extending out from our body and like moving around and seeing back, seeing ourselves, the autoscopic vision, seeing ourselves sitting like doing meditation, or when the people experience the near-death experience that they are dying, they felt that their soul flying out, and with the vision on that soul, the extended body from the soul eyes that looking back themselves and see themselves. Yeah, that's very scary, very truthful, and very real to the person who have that experience. But regardless, when you try to see through the truth of many things, see through the obstacle to understand the truth of something, that you always say that something happened to you, something that you see does not mean that it is true. Okay, so this one is that such kinds of extending mind, extensive eyes of a soul, as a matter of fact, is not very true. Your mind is still in the body, your soul is still attached to your body. It's just that there's a reason, there's a mechanics that under such kinds of situation, your view would be extended to another spot that had been extended out to the other location, to the other angle. So with that location, the information could be sent back to you. That is, you feel like that you could see from there. But actually, you're still seeing things here, but you just perceive the information that is, getting or receiving or catching at the spot of that extended location. So it's not that your eye fly up over there. It's just that there is some mechanics or miraculous function that to cause a receptor of the information from that location with the information that has been sent back to you. Of course, that at that moment, because of the special situation about your the damage of your five senses, let me put it that way, the sixth sense had to come out to operate, that you would receive the information in a different way. Means you could receive the space transmitting information, okay, and at the beginning to recognize it and respond onto it, right? So that's something like that. The senses of an outer body soul is not the outer body experience. Rather, they are the soul entity, the sense from that soul entity that the sense has been generated by the information that sent back from the distant conscious interlocked locations. That's distance, but it's the distant location that has been interlocked by your attention. And through this interlock of the attention, the information sent back to your mind. At that time, the subconscious mind is like acting like a soul. Yeah.
And that's similar to
the method is clairvoyance, right? Because clairvoyance is not that you see things that it is in the distance. It's not seeing anything. It's just that you pick up the information that that have the data sent back from you. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And number 17, the remote viewing or clairvoyance is neither remote nor viewing. It is the local reception of the distant object's information that is sent back through the subject's conscious interlocked attention. And that information is being converted into a vision to be projected out.
Yeah. So this paragraph seems like very complicated, but actually it's very simple. Means what I have just explained that when you become a person that could have the ability to have the clairvoyance or remote viewing, actually it's not viewing anything because you are not using your eyes, and it is not remote because you're not going over there. It's just the localized. Okay. The reason you can do it is because what? It's because in the distance there's an object there. They have the information, and that information is flying around when you have your interlocked attention. Means your attention interlock that object. It establishes a bridge, a channel to send back that information to you. And with that sent back information, with the function of the sixth sense and the soul function, that the information will be being converted into a vision inside your body, but along with the emanating eye ray, it will be projected out as a vision that you can see. And sometimes other people can see it too. But when you see, it's not using your eye. Okay, it's using your mind, your soul mind, your mind eyes. Okay.
To perceive the information or image.
Right.
Okay. And number 18, the heaven-like crystal transparent vision with remarkable three-dimensional depth that is purely created by out emanating eye rays and is without any interference of any mental imagery, would only show one of those three colors of the retinal cones, either red or magenta, or blue or green, at one single moment. It is the manifestation of the eye ray out emanating in the reversal visual path.
So when people talk about vision, there are many type of different vision, and especially when the people talk about near-death experience, when they see heaven, when they see God. I experienced that ultimate type of vision, very religious and very beautiful and very incredible. That's kind of a very crystal-like, transparent vision, very transparent, very three-dimensional, and heaven-like. Means so beautiful. You would not believe it, with the remarkable three-dimensional path. That is purely created. It is still created by out emanating eye rays, and it's without any interference of any mental imagery. There is some type of vision that is caused by your thinking. Okay. This type of heaven-like means the ultimate vision could not be created by your subjective thinking, because by that time, at the near-death experience, that status, that you would not be able to think anything. So it may automatically function like that with your cultural background, your religious background, your cultivation of your whole life, that all defined, what you could see at that moment. So it is not, based on the interference of any mental imagery. But only so one of those three colors. So the very interesting things that when I experience such kinds of visions, why there is always just one type of one color and going to another color, and all color, in the spectrum is only three: red, green, blue. There's no other color. Why? There's no all gold, yellow, blue, red, all together. Why? It's because it is not the hallucination. It is really the vision that, because of the changing of the electromagnetic field or electromagnetic energy, that from one level to another and to the third. Because in our eye socket, eye structure, there's only 3 different type of color cone. The retinal cone, that each cone, would reflect one type of color. So when the electromagnetic energy level hit one level, you can see one color. It go into the change into another level, you can see another color, and then another color. It will change automatically and alternatively. Right? Alternately. So if why? Once you get the enlightenment, you understand that. Because that's the reality. It all relying on the changing of your body energy level.
That's very interesting. Yeah. And number 19, subject's observation could turn the moving particle waves, the consciousness streams, into separate particles, and then lines the particles up in an orderly formation of a 3-dimensional cube. This 3D cube of many particles could rotate in a perfect synchronization under the subject's continuous staring. And this phenomenon may reflect the manifestation of the collapse of wave function in quantum physics. This complex phenomenon is also a manifestation of mind over matter, and is one of the proofs that the particle waves are out of the subject's body.
Yeah, this discovery is very important. People are already talking about quantum physics, talking about mind over matter, talking about one principle in quantum physics, that when human beings stare onto something, and the staring, such kinds of staring, the intensive staring, could focus on the object, the material objects, like the wave, in front of you, and turn the wave into particle. That's one principle of quantum physics. And how mind can over matter means use your mind energy, the mind force, the mental force, could change the reality of the physical things, right? Basically, it's very impossible to the normal understanding. But as a matter of fact, it could be possible in a very minimal or tiny level of functioning. So I talk about that. A person's observation could turn the particle wave outside of your body. Basically, that's the consciousness stream that we were talking about, that could be affected by electromagnetic field. Turn those particle waves into separate particles. Or if this particle form the wave and moving around, you can turn it with the attention. You can turn it into the separate particle, and that those particles line up in a different location to form a cube. That cube is 3-dimensional. You can see the depth. You can see the lines of the horizontal row and vertical row, and each spot of the very accurate in a definite location, right? So such kinds of 3D cube of the many particles could rotate in a perfect synchronization. When you move, when they rotate, it's not immediately change shape or morph into other things, right? It could be with the very intensive tension of your staring, you could make it turn in a synchronization, just like the screensaver of the old computer, that it would move little by little. And that's discovery is very important, because you are not using your eye to see anything. You are seeing with your your mental eyes with your mind eyes, and as a matter of fact, that's the time that when me or other people who have interest to experience, they could use eye shield to block the photon that coming into your eyes to interfere your experience, right? At that moment, it's not that your eye is seeing thing by receiving the photon. Is that your eyes are projecting kind of eye ray that's scanning the space, right, to pick up the information of the material that line up in that special electromagnetic field dimension. Okay, that's the conscious stream movement. Okay, so with such kinds of experience, that it is really prove the quantum physics principle, first of all, and also because you stare something, it's your mind force, and you change the reality of the movement of that particle wave status. That's the matter, right? Mind over matter in a very tiny scale, right? But it's still a reality. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting that now one particle will move faster than the other. They all move at the same speed and
Right,
same.
right. There's a reason there. There's a logic there, and it is not too difficult to understand. In the future, I will explain more clearly. It's all about the force that in that dimension. Okay, that special electromagnetic field dimension that have the force to change things, to pull things or push things, and because the particle waves particle means the particle inside the wave are very tiny, and it would not be like anything in the material world or the physical world that have is a weight or size there, right? Because it's so tiny. Most likely is what I understand is could be something like a electromagnetic particle or dark matter or anything like that, but is being waited for the scientists to explore further, right?
Right. Okay. And number 20, in the mystical and spiritual experiences, the subject being possessed by a divine being is in fact being possessed by the holy energy, the tremendous amount of the positive energy and information.
Yeah, because my something I feel very confident and very proud of myself is that I do not try to adopt any traditional explanation of any miraculous things. Because with regards to the miraculous things or the marvelous things or something related to psychic or ESP, there are other things that scientists would not know because they don't have their own experience. But some people, like me, accidentally, I have a lot of experience, so I could have a say with all the enlightenment. But some people, they only have the random experience here and there, so they do not have an opportunity to try to be enlightened with the truth of it. So they are very easy or inclined to adopt the false explanation. Okay, but my happiness is always being generated from thinking out something that other people would not know. Just like this one. In the mystical and spiritual experiences, the subject being possessed. People always talk about, someone is being possessed by demon, or is being possessed by the divine, or the holy God, or I have that experience. It's so real and so incredible, unthinkable, and it's so thrilled and make you, wow, like your experience the heaven already, and because it's, the saint, the sacred energy, the sacred entity, and the divine entity or the God had possessed you. This is a wonderful experience. But in fact, are you really being possessed by God? What's God? That's something I want to break through, and I understand eventually that it is, you're not being possessed by God. It's God-like something. It's the energy. It's the energy. It's the electricity, like things. Okay, so it's tremendous amount of positive energy and information. It's all about energy, all about information. But when it is positive, then you have the feeling about being possessed by God. But when you are being controlled or manipulated or overwhelmed by the energy that's negative, that you are feeling that you are being possessed by demon.
Okay, and that was number 20. Go into number 21.
Yeah.
Okay. The phenomenon in which the subject's soul is being borrowed by a divine being to reveal oracles is in fact a process in which the subject's mind or a set of programs to do the mental computation to be replaced with the divine being's mind, another program or operational system in the mental computation.
Yeah. How to understand this point? We talk about physically being possessed by God or by demon. That's what the last point had explained. This point is talking about in the society or the community in the long history. Many people talk about borrowed soul from other entity or borrowed soul of God. Okay, to be controlled and then receive the message, the oracle. The oracle is kind of a sacred message. Okay, what's the function of it? Because I myself experienced many times of such kinds of miraculous, sacred moment, and I found out that after a lot debate in my mind through the data that I have collected right at the spot and at the right moment, that type of phenomenon, that the soul is being borrowed by the divine, means the divine, the God had to take away your soul, take away your soul, take away your mind, to use your mind as his mind to give you the message. That's the oracle, the revelation, and that's very unbelievable, because you could, you cannot talk, you cannot think, and your mouth cannot express whatever you want to express, but yet with your mouth to say something, and with your brain being operated by another divine entity, that you could reveal a message, or a message could be revealed into your mind, or with your expression in words that tell you something very religious and very logic, and it's like something to tell you what happened in the past and what happened in the future. That's something, if someone would not have faith or religions, and it's very difficult for them to believe in. But when you have the faith or religion, that could be something very easy to be misunderstood too, right? But there is a scientific reason or scientific foundation for something like that. Okay, it's all talk about mind. Your mind has been controlled by another mind, but your mind at that moment is a set of program that can do the mental computation, right? So true that your mind is being controlled and being borrowed by another sacred entity or the divine, okay? But in fact, okay, it's just like something like internet, like a Wi-Fi, right? And two terminal has been exchanging the data and information with a certain set of programming principle. But if someone change that programming principle, the compatibility of two terminals could work together by exchanging information, right? That time, one could overwhelm another one. That you feel like that this mind has been taken away or being brought out, right, by the divine or by means. Because people simply think and naturally think that whenever something is not controlled by me, it's by outside, and if it is not demon, it is God, right? So they're inclined to believe that anything that is very uncontrollable but yet have a great power, but it is not myself, then it's something sacred or divine. Okay, so which is true that your mind has been replaced with another mind, means another set of program and information there, right? So with the little knowledge about computer, that is easy to understand things like that. Although with such kinds of understanding, it takes long times and a lot of debate and scientific arguments, with the knowledge of science that and persistence or resilience not to fall into the trap of being superstitious, then you would be able with the God's blessing that you could be enlightened with the truth. Yeah.
Okay. And number 22, the phenomenon of the holy union with the One is a constant moment in which the subject is experiencing the energy and the data being downloaded onto his subconscious mind.
The phenomenon of the holy union with the One is in Chinese it's called 天人合一, means heaven and human join together, become one, become one entity. So that's kind of a holy union with the One. Means you as a human have the holy union with the God. Okay, it's a constant moment. It's a moment by moment and moment, but it's a constant set of continuous moment that in which the subject, means the person, is experiencing what? Experiencing the energy and the data that being downloaded, onto you as a human through what? Subconscious mind. So that's one of my discovery too. When you experience it, it's so incredible, and you get scared sometimes that why you're being controlled by the monster, or if you don't have religion or faith. Okay, if you have religion or faith and if you really believe in God, you may be, okay, that's God, but you still feel that you are so helpless and powerless, and it's the first time in your life that you see you are so helpless and so faint and so out of control. That scares you. That reality scares you. But actually, you're not being possessed or being controlled or manipulated by anything except the data, the information, right? So there's nothing much to be scared about. If you have your conscience, if you have your conscientious mind to do the right thing in your life, that you would not be afraid of any attack of evilness or demon or something like that. Yeah. So in the future, I will also talk about, is there a ghost? Or I don't believe ghost. I believe there is God, but that God would not be the same as the religious people can understand, or anyone who understands through the religious book. Yeah.
Okay. And number 23, the Buddha's sudden enlightenment is a sudden moment in which the subject experiences a sudden flush of the energy with full access of the originally unavailable information.
Yeah, yeah. And in Buddhism, they talk about sudden enlightenment. Why people have sudden enlightenment? Just like me, I have quite a few, or quite a lot of such kinds of sudden enlightenment, and all of sudden that you know a lot. Things that with regards to the ultimate truth or ultimate principle or ultimate philosophy that would not be usually available to you. And why? It's because what? The sudden moment is a moment so sudden that in which the subject means that person experiences a sudden flash of the energy. That energy with full access of the original unavailable information, energy, you know, because you know, through the process of my experiment and my experience to all those psychic or ESP opera psychology things, that it's always come back into something related to energy and information. If human being understand better about the data and information can be transmitted through the space and can be recognized and respond by the human, and then you know, it's very easy to understand things are not that sacred and things are not that say again? Miraculous or remarkable or incredible. It's just something that human beings limited knowledge will not understand well at the beginning, but it will be needed to further explore. You know, but someone like me experience it and would not simply fall into the trap of believing things without thinking, without debating, then you could be easily enlightened with the ultimate truth sooner or later.
So that moment is like the ding moment.
Sudden
enlightenment.
Sudden enlightenment. True.
Okay. And number 24, the phenomena of the reincarnation, the multiple personality, and many other phenomena in the like could be also as simple as a personal program with his records of the conscious information to be downloaded onto another person.
Yeah, see, something like that, just a simple paragraph. It seems like, oh, nothing, it's just a simple story. It's not the assumption, it's not the story, it's the fact that has gone through many times of my personal experience, so that it come out the final understanding through the very rigorous research or rigorous experiment, so that to get such kinds of logical theory to describe the understanding or the encountering and experience, that the phenomena of the reincarnation. Let's talk about reincarnation, because many people like when they associate to something happened to Dalai Lama or the multiple personality, then they will see, oh, there is a truth or there is a logic about the existence of reincarnation. But what's really happening there to let the people believe that there's a process there which is called reincarnation. Reincarnation is really someone could, you know, when they die, their soul fly out and then hanging around in the heavens, and then when the time comes, they go into another picked or targeted person's soul to operate there, so that the life will be relived by that person to be a manifestation of the reincarnation. No, I don't believe that, because through the experience and exploration of the truth behind it, and I come to the understanding that the reincarnation that's sometimes also reflected or revealed as the multiple personality. Means that someone died, or they're living, but all of a sudden they can shift from one personality to another personality to another personality with the information of the life that they have not been lived, but can be proved with the evidence of the life had existed before, right? So that type of story about reincarnation or multiple personality, in fact, it's not that complicated. It's just a phenomena in the life that could be also as simple as a personal program. You have a program. When you have the understanding about the computer, then you know that in your computer you have the hard drive, you have the program, and so that represent how you think and how that computer think and how that computer act by receiving the information, and they will compute the results and acting differently. That's actually our human being is functioning like that. It's very similar to a computer, and the information, right, that add along a certain method, a certain mechanism of mathematical computation. That's the program that of an individual, right? As simple as a personal program with its records and of the conscious information. Yeah, because you have a program that whenever you think, whenever you talk, you generate kinds of electromagnetic data that's carried out through the photon and to be transmitted along the space, right? But so such kinds of information, conscious information, means the information that come out generated by your conscious mind, right? That program, when it is to be downloaded onto another person, that the foundation for the so-called reincarnation or multiple personality. Once you understand that you understand the computer, right? The computer physically more or less the same, but when you use another program, you can have a different function, different operation, or different way of living. But with the memory, the same, right? Because the memory is part of the information. The information is part of the memory. Yeah.
That's perhaps one of the most difficult concepts for me
Yeah.
to comprehend since the beginning. Yeah.
Right. So what the theory that I have organized and analyzed and summarized up seems to be simple, but behind it there is very complicated knowledge, interaction of many different knowledge and experiences. So it's will be able to explain more in the future. Yeah.
Okay. And number 25, knowing the true causes of the hallucination will help those who are categorized as the patients with mental disorders. And knowing the true causes of the divine being's possession will help those who are regarded as being possessed by the so-called demons.
Yeah. And this point is talk about, if you know about the truth of hallucination, and if you know about the truth of someone being possessed by divine or by demon, then you will understand, right, something. What's that something? It's the patient's sickness or disorder. Because, for the same similarity that the people, when they become sick or when they have the mental disorder, they feel like they are changing into another person, okay? because they cannot act normally with the function of all the data that they have been using as a memory, as an experience, as a interaction with their relatives and this and that, right? They behave very abnormally. It's because, same as a person when they try to alter their consciousness so that they have the hallucinations or call hallucination that overwhelm them. They think that they have a disorder too, right? But that's not true, right? So when you know that someone being possessed by the divine entity, then you also know, why someone would think about that being possessed by demon too. It's the same tokens. It's just the energy. That's the information. But if your if the structure or the consistence of your energy or your mindset, the state of your mind, that reveals you that whether that's positive or negative, that's the definition. That's the division of whether you felt like being possessed by divine or by the demons.
Okay. So, but you have to be compatible too, right? In order to download such a program.
Yeah. So all talk about why Dalai Lama can be reincarnate. It's like Dalai Lama can reincarnate from the previous Buddha or the Buddhist figure. Compatibility is very important. It's just like in a computer, if you have the same address, same set of program, then you could communicate each other. It's not a big deal. It's not a very difficult thing to grasp. But compatibility is important to have the information to be transported from one thing to another thing. So that's the destiny that people were talking about, or the protege, why they can all of a sudden have the capability to do a lot of things that they normally could not. They could not be normally do, right? Because they have a channel to receive the information that provide the ability for them to do something marvelous.
Okay, and number 26, the phenomena of the precognition are also set in the foundation of the human awareness to the space transmitting information through the subconscious. All ESP experiences are applying to the same principle of the human awareness to the space transmitting information and the subject's interaction with it through the subconscious.
This point is talk about the phenomenon, or talk about many phenomena. That means phenomena of the precognition. Precognition is a capability of a person who predicts something happen in the future, and or receive the information about something could happen in the future at this moment that has not been happening yet. That type of phenomena set the foundation of the human awareness to what? To space transmitting information through the subconscious. Always, the space transmitting information is flying around. Right? Whether you can recognize or respond to it, it's depending on whether you can use the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is something beyond the five senses. It is really the sixth sense mode. Okay, when you can go into that mode with all different type of channel or vehicle or situation or condition, then you could also, get a chance to experience something similar to precognition. All ESP experiences are applying to the same principle of the human awareness to the space transmitting information through the subconscious. So all the ESP, all the extrasensory perception experiences are using the same principle. Okay, what's the principle? Means they use the subconsciousness to realize, recognize, respond to the space transmitting information, right? When they have that ability, or when they have that opportunity or chances of doing it, or the condition, or based on the condition of doing that, they would have, the experience of ESP experiences. Okay, so that's basically what it tried to explain. And it the first time to relate to the precognition, because the ESP, extrasensory perception, includes several type of categories, like precognition, like clairvoyance, remote viewings, what's that? Telepathy,
Yeah.
as you use your mind, and the mind over matter. What's that? It's there's
Something kinetic energy.
right, yeah. There's a word for that. I forgot that word. It's like kinesis or something like that. Yeah. So that all belong to the category of ESP. Okay, but they all related to the subconscious functioning and the information that's flying in the space, and how you can, under what circumstances you can be triggered to be in the situation that you could respond and realize or recognize the information or add onto it. Okay.
Okay. And the number 27, dreaming reveals the reality in which a subject becomes aware to the space transmitting information that is usually only available to the subconscious or the unconsciousness. Dreaming is an additional platform in which a subject could experience many types of psychic phenomena.
Right. Now, because I myself also, because of a lot of wonder had happened during my dreaming, and because I have a habit of recording all the dream right at the moment that I woke up. So it really struck me to realize the wonderful mechanisms there. That during the dreaming, it could reveal a lot of special things of the reality in which a person becomes aware of the information. That information is space transmitting or space flying information. That's the moment that you recognize the information, you respond onto the information, right? Because usually such kinds of information or such kinds of awareness of the information is only available to the subconscious mind or the unconsciousness.
That
But
is not your five senses.
Right, but during the dreaming time, you realize it. But the problem is that most of the time you would not know the detail, you won't know the accurate mechanisms or the logic of such happening, or you do not even remember anything. Yeah. So, available to dreaming is the additional platform in which a person could experience many types of psychic phenomena. Yeah, additional platform that you could experience many types of psychic phenomena. That is like something like what is it? Clairvoyance, flying, out-of-body experience, near-death experience, and seeing God, seeing heaven, or pick up the information that's not local, right?
Yeah, during the dream.
Yeah, and in fact, my experience is that dreaming is the moment that people in the same vicinity, means in the close-up environment, that they could affect each other
Oh yeah,
with
influence
their
each other.
brain wave
Yeah.
or with their story
Yeah, same
of
type.
the dream.
Like
Yeah.
everybody dreaming about the same type of story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
close vicinity to each other.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah. And the number 28,
Okay. Yeah.
the suppression or the interference of the subjective consciousness, the five senses, would bring up the awareness of the subconscious, the sixth sense. And there are many methods to gain access to this subconscious dimension. For example, dreaming and sleeping, meditation, qi practice, practicing martial arts, spiritual cultivation, religious prayers and religious dancing, fasting, deprivation of sleep, hypnotizing, intensive multitasking, applying electromagnetic interference to the brain, having body disability or trauma, and taking psychedelic drugs.
Yeah. So this paragraph or this point is talking about the suppression of the subjective consciousness. Whichever way you encounter to block your five sense means what I call a subjective sense, because you can subjectively control
Yeah.
your five
Everything you
senses. You know,
control.
you're touching,
Mhm.
you're seeing, you're feeling with your skin, or smell or hearing, those five senses. Whenever it got suppressed or blockaded or being hampered or damaged, then your subconscious, means your sixth sense, will take over. When that happens, there are many methods to that would reveal many miraculous things that related to ESP, but how you can go into that situation to let your five senses to be suppressed, right? It will go through all these things. There are so many things to
Many different ways.
could make that reality happen. Okay, that's what it said. Like it says here, right? If a person need or want or accidentally to be pushed into a subconscious dimension by giving up their subjective consciousness, as the people already talk about alter consciousness, right? How you alter your consciousness. There are many ways. Okay, dreaming, sleeping, meditation, qi practice, or practicing martial arts, or spiritual cultivation, like you believe in something religious and you
Chanting
cultivate
or
yourself.
something.
Religious prayers, like you play very seriously, or religious dancing, you dance too much, or fasting make your body tired, or deprivation of sleep, you don't sleep, and being hypnotized, or intensive multitasking. When you're doing a lot of things, your sixth sense will come out, okay? And applying electromagnetic interference to your brain. That's what a Canadian doctor has been trying to do, right? To apply the electromagnetic interference onto the brain with all the wire and the sensor that could,
Michael Persinger.
to let you feel like you can see God.
God's
So,
helmet.
yeah, that's why I call God's helmet. Okay, and having body disability means the innate problem of your body, or by the accident you damaged part of your body, or traumatized your body, or the simple things, taking psychedelic drugs. About taking psychedelic drugs, scientists or some scientists always think that, you're taking drug, so your experience is not true, it's not real. I have a different view. That all depends on what type of drug you're talking about, right? Because drug will not cause hallucination. That's my belief, right? Because what drug is causing your hallucinations means that a drug will really provide you a movie. This is not a movie, it is not data, right? So most of the so-called psychedelic drug, actually it functions as blocking or advancing part of your body organization movement. So it's indirectly providing you something that very abnormal, right? But it is not that that drug itself provides you a God that you can see, right? It is not that drug will provide you a sense that you can fly. It is just that the drug can hamper part of your body and that confine your five senses operation that all of a sudden accidentally let your sixth sense come out to control yourself, that you have the experience of out-of-body experience or near-death experience, right? It's not drug that provides you the sacred things or the negative things. It's just that your body being altered by some drugs that function differently, that to set the foundation of your perceiving different things. But your perception may not be totally wrong or fake, right? That all depends on what type of perception, what type of thing that you experienced. Yeah.
Okay. And number 29, with witnessing the information communications between the human and the consciously targeted object, it is logical to hypothesize that some of the memories of the information of the human experiences are being stored out of the human brain, and the conscious will of the human or animal in life may play a role in the biological evolution.
I think for this part, this sentence is the most important things that I try to believe in and try to figure out. Basically it's talk about the information through all the experience about the psychic things, all the ESP things, that I believe that the memory is not totally or only stored in our brain, because with the sixth sense and psychic power, that actually all of a sudden you can experience a flash of information, right? And that type of phenomena that would reveal the possibility that the information and the memory could be stored outside because of the channel that you can be compatible to, connected to. Then you could retrieve those information and you could react onto those information. It makes much more sense than only stored in your memory. But the thing is that in your brain. But the thing is that the conscious will of the human and animal of life may play role in the biological evolution. I think that's important because many people think that why there is the biological evolution that change the evolvement, the evolution of the biological mechanism to benefit or to be favorable to that animal or that life to be evolved into.
Yeah.
And is that random? Is that occasional? To my opinion, probably no, because your consciousness will play a role.
Yeah.
Because it's information. It add on something. It add on the gene, add on the cell, add on the atom or any particle or electromagnetic field that could cause the change or the evolution of the path of your biological process. So it means, through generation to generation, you really could will out to have a better survival condition of your life.
Besides surviving, you think of a way to compete with other life forms and
Exactly.
so that you're gonna extend your life longer and better.
Yeah.
other world.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it meant. You know, so why all the life, different life, was like they have all different wonderful change in the along the path of their living process that you know, to work out so much wonder, right, to reveal the help of themselves, right? It's not just random. Venus is all response to the information that come out from their mind or of the view, and then something change and react onto it.
Yeah, so they will only keep the features that they need. The ones that they might not need, they just
Exactly.
go extinct.
Yeah.
Okay, and number 30, our sixth sense is a sense of the subconscious awareness that recognizes the states transmitting information in the dimension of the unconsciousness. It is a reality in which all human mystical experiences originate. Because the sixth sense does not rely on human language to compute, a complex computation or an awareness of the tremendous amount of information can be realized in just an instant moment.
Yeah. First thing is to talk about what's the sixth sense. The sixth sense is, you know, the special situation under which the human or the mind could realize and recognize the space transmitting information in that dimension of the unconsciousness. Okay, it is a reality in which all human mystical experiences originate. You know, with the sixth sense, okay, you would understand the reality, right? That's the base. That's the reality in which our human being could, you know, experience all those mystical phenomena or phenomena. Because the sixth sense does not rely on human language to compute. That's talking about two different things. Okay, when we talk about why with the soul perception means the sense or the ability of using the sixth sense would have the opportunity to provide you the sudden enlightenment or the sudden awareness of the outcome of something that you compute very hard but cannot get the result. That's because they're not what? They're not using what? Okay, the human, not relying on the human language to compute. The human being, you know, they are evolving and they are trying to be trained since they are very young to only use the subjective consciousness to think and to compute, because they try to resist, you know, such kinds of weird or irregular information that come out from nowhere, or out of control or beyond their control. So they always, you know, try to ignore the signal or ignore the data that would not be really gone through a process of their thinking, or using or to witnessing them through the normal five sense. Okay, so once they know how to use their sixth sense or the soul perception to recognize things, to react on things, their computation power much faster. You know, in an instant second. That's always about the sudden enlightenment. Okay.
Yeah. Or like some people, they claim that they could talk to animals or they could understand the animals. Or what
right. Yeah. Because it does not need to use language that you have learned or practiced for so long, and using language to think, it takes time too. Okay. During the thinking process, it takes time. So, but when you feel something, it's instantly.
Okay.
Number 31st.
The sixth sense channel to the space transmitting information benefits human with great meditative enlightenment. with miraculous witness to the mystical, religious, and spiritual experiences. And it, to a certain degree, affects our karma, fate, and destiny. So its unconscious influence also exhibits some deterministic elements to the path of the human's individual life. It will unfortunately make humans suffer too from the evil intentions such as the voodoo practices and the likes, or from being possessed by the negative energy of the misconceived demons, or from being troubled by the misperceived ghosts and the other mental sicknesses.
Okay, this one is one of the very important or significant implication that revealed after we understand that human beings have ability to recognize and respond to the space transmitting information, right? Through the sixth sense channel, then to realize or to recognize this space transmitting information, such kinds of capability benefit human being or wasn't the human being's life because it have the influence there, the negative influence or the positive influence. So it would affect your in all different degrees, affect your karma, affect your destiny, because when you get close, it's not that the language or the attitude or the real situation that you experience could affect your life. In fact, that when you get close to anyone, or in fact that even in a very far distance, so long as you are compatible with that one or channeling with that person, that the information of the subconscious function between these two entity or these two person could affect each other. So it is very scary too. That means a human being that our life will not only be governed by what we have seen as what happened or what's happening in the community or in the society. Actually, you are affected or you are influenced, or even the whole society or the whole world has been affected or inter-influenced by each other with the invisible data that human being has been operated out. Okay, so it's a talk about whether or not the world is acting according to the will of the God or the will of demon, and that always subject to find further research, but to my opinion, it is only have the definition or the division between the positive energy and the negative energy. But the human being, the scary part is that they are not only being influenced by this society, they are being influenced by the subconscious world. Yeah.
It just came across my mind that actually in the hospital, when the patients are physically weak, I think it's very easy for them to have influence, affect each other through your subconsciousness.
Exactly. Because what I find out is that when the sixth sense could come to take over the five sense to operate on the human mind, as whenever the body has been traumatized or has been weakened to a point that it cannot function normally or cannot mostly function normally, but the mind itself, right, still have the strong energy, like an electromagnetic energy that could make you function to recognize things, to respond onto the little tiny information. Yeah.
Okay. And number 32, our soul seems to be our individual mind, consists of the consciousness, the program, and the information that is in conjunction with our body's electromagnetic field as the energy source to transport information. our individual mind may be eternal in the sense that the information could be stored in space forever, and with an integral entity as folders and files of its consciousness, program, and information. This individual mind may occasionally become conscious by operating on another brain. So, the after consciousness of a dead person may exist, but the afterlife of this dead person may not be a reality.
Yeah, we talk about soul. What soul? My understanding and my analysis, or the result of my analysis through the experience, is that it consists of consciousness, the program, and the information. And that is in conjunction with our body's electromagnetic field. Means our soul body actually is the electromagnetic field body that operates in our body or surround our body, or it is generated when we move our limbs or any muscles or the muscle of our heart or brain that has been functioned. Whenever it had active functioning, then it generates electromagnetic field. That's the electromagnetic body of our soul entity. And in conjunction with our body's electromagnetic field is the energy source to transport information. How we can transport information with our soul is because of the energy of that's come out from the electromagnetic functioning. That's whenever we move, we generate the electromagnetic field with the energy that carry the information by photon of a light. Okay. Our individual mind may be internal. So let's talk about whether the soul is really eternal or temporal. Okay. It is it could be eternal in a sense that because your soul is the electromagnetic body, and that electromagnetic body has been wrapped up with other electromagnetic body. Means your soul is wrapped by your parent's soul, and your parent's soul is wrapped by the world's soul, means the electromagnetic field. So they interact with the information, or when it is compatible of the channeling, the information is going through here and there. So that's never ending. So that's eternal in that sense. Okay. And it could be, and also the information could be stored in the space forever, and with the integral entity as folders and files. They talk about how to understand the soul. Okay, it consists of three parts: consciousness, program, and the information. Of course, there's the energy too. Okay, and the data. Means the information, and also it could be eternal in a sense of the reality, and and also this program can be connected to another program. This soul can be connected to another soul. Okay, but it does not mean that your soul can be replaced with another people's soul. It's just that your soul is a function, is a consistence of three different parts: the program and the energy and the information and the consciousness, right? That could be controlled or could be manipulated by another type of energy or electromagnetic function. Okay, so by operating on another brain. Okay, another brain. So the after consciousness of a dead person may exist, but afterlife of this dead person may not be a reality. Like these two sentences seems to be very simple, but it have a lot implication there. Means I don't believe there's afterlife, because there's no life that you can extend to experience. There is the after consciousness. Means you think and you experience a life that generates a whole set of a storage of or the data collection to be generated and stored in one place, that consciousness could be retrieved with your information and downloaded to another person to act like a reincarnation. But yourself is gone. Okay, you have no life anymore. You don't have your physical body. You don't have the same structure of your body that provide the same condition to experience your life again one more time. No. You're dead, you're dead. Okay? And that's the afterlife does not happen, while the after consciousness had happened. So that's why my discovery always try to be distinguished out from the misunderstanding or the traditional rumor or the belief of other people, because to find out the truth that nobody knows yet is very important to reveal the preciousness of our life. Yeah, and the last one. Yeah, so the last one is the 33 point, the 33rd point, the last point, and see if we can get it out. Yeah.
But okay,
Yeah.
here's the last but not least, number 33.
So the 33 is the general understanding about what's God. Because when you talk about psychic experience, you talk about out-of-body experience, near-death experience, and all the ESP experience that are all related to the religious phenomena. And then come back to the general question that what's God? What's God? Okay? And my understanding is God could be a collective computing mind. Okay, it's a mind, it's a computer, it's a collective computing mind. That mind can collectively think with the collective information and with the collective individual mind in a certain circumstances. Okay, and unify. And you can continue to read out.
And unified entity of all individual minds.
Yeah, it's an entity that unified as a general one that reflects all the different individual minds.
And that is created by the human consciousness.
Yeah, what created God? Okay, what created that mind? Right? That's the created by the human consciousness. Okay, so sometimes it's important to understand that is man made God or God made man? Okay, there's a difference there, but there's no difference in the sense of about the understanding of the information and interaction of the information and the interaction of the mind or the soul. Okay.
And it is the information center of all humans' experiences.
Yeah, the information center of all the humans. That means the collective consciousness.
Yep. And this collective mind may become conscious and may commence a computing process by using an integral unified brain that consists of each individual brain of all humans, or just by using one single human's brain brings a biological function.
Yeah, what it means that why there is a feeling of God, why that entity knows so much of the information that not usually available to everybody. Wow, it's so sacred, so divine, and so incredible. No, it's just the information center, right? Because it connected to all the individual mind, means the individual soul. So sometimes it functions because it has the same program that functions by using all the individual soul to act like a big computer that generate the information very quickly with the super power and the super speed, right? And sometimes it just use one individual mind from one single human, and the single human's brain is biological function, right? Using one single human's brain by biological function. So that's why God is something that not really like what the religious book talk about, like a human, because God should not have a shape or the outline of a human figure, right? The foundation or the manifestation of humans to believe in the structure of a God is all from its miraculous epiphany. Okay, the miraculous presence of the power that the human being do not usually grasp and control, but that's only data, information. Once the human understand that they have the capability or the potential to grasp or to react or recognize the information that they do not have the ability to see or to realize and to perceive normally, then they understand that they are part of God. They are really a copy of God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.